Hi, Gene here with my thoughts for today. And today we're going back to the Middle East. Little bit of a Gaza update. Interesting developments there in just the last day or so. Actually, one interesting development in I just read this maybe a half hour ago. So this is what's happening. They've been gradually increasing the pressure on Hamas. So what they have done in the past week or so, they made a brand new corridor that divides a new road, and they're paving it now. They've got about 3 kilometers of it paved, and I think the whole thing's about 12 kilometers. Anyways, it divides 2 major cities, Rafah in the south, and then further north, Khan Yunis. So it separates those 2 cities. So Israel, I believe now the Israeli army is closing in more on Khan Yunis, and they have where they also believe the hostages are, I believe. Anyways, the big development is that Hamas has been refusing to disarm, and Israel had, just to remind everybody, 3 demands. Number 1, of course, return all the hostages that they took, dead and alive, and for Hamas to return them, disarm, and leave Gaza, or at least disarm and have no part in governing Gaza. So Hamas has been refusing, and they still, as I'm recording this, the day before you were seeing it, refusing it. But they sent a delegation to Cairo, which has made a new offer. Egypt has been mediating between Hamas and Israel, and this is the interesting development because now Egypt has joined Israel in demand. Well, let's go right to the headline. Egypt to Hamas, disarmed completely down to the last bullet. Egypt is demanding that Hamas fully dismantle its armed capabilities in exchange for a 5-year ceasefire and immunity for senior leaders. Meanwhile, the IDF, that would be the Israel Defense Forces, the army, is taking control of neighborhood after neighborhood in Rafah, expanding its hold in the northern Gaza Strip and preparing for even more intense military operations. Israel and the U.S., with mediation by Qatar and Egypt, and with the involvement of the Palestinian Authority, I'll mention them in a moment, continue to pursue a hostage deal. Parallel to these negotiations, the Israel Defense Forces are pushing ahead in Rafah, taking over one area at a time, consolidating control in northern Gaza, and gearing up for the next phase of combat. Egyptian officials have made it clear to Hamas that any further refusal to disarm will lead to an escalation in Israel's military campaign. Reports indicate that the organization's remaining military and civilian, this is the important part, reports indicate that the organization's remaining military and civilian supplies are expected to run out within a month to 6 weeks. So there you go. Hamas is, they're on the ropes now if this article is right. That is a big development. Now you have Egypt joining Israel and saying that Hamas has to disarm completely, basically read them the Riot Act. They have to disarm, and I guess it looks like the senior leadership would be given immunity, and I would assume passage out of Gaza. But as you already know, all Gazans, Israel's trying to arrange for any Gazan who wants to be able to leave. It's just a matter of finding countries to take them, and supposedly, or reportedly, a bunch of companies are stepping up. So we'll see, because it's going to take decades to rebuild the damage that has been done then because of Hamas. And I don't know how you can live among those ruins while being rebuilt. So let me just get to, I said I would mention the Palestinian Authority, and the reason I mention them is because Mahmoud Abbas, the leader, the president of Gaza, is serving, I think he's, the 15th, 16th, 17th year of his 4-year term. He was elected once for 4 years, and he's been there ever since. Anyways, he just said, shortly before I'm recording this, he's demanding that that Hamas release all the hostages. So now you have, I guess, the only people who aren't demanding which will tell you a lot, I guess, is the Europeans. The European Union are not calling for, not demanding the release of all the hostages. As what you've seen and what you're hearing now, basically just demanding that they release. I was going to say without condition. I think Palestinian Authority is that, but Egypt is talking about a 5-year truce, which makes no sense to me. I mean, if it's a face-saving measure for Hamas, that's okay. But if Hamas disarms, then it doesn't matter when the truce ends. Hamas is disarmed. I assume that the Israelis will. They've already made it clear that they are not going to completely leave Gaza, or they're not going to leave Gaza alone. One of the things they want is not just to disarm Hamas and have them out of the government, of any governing participation in Gaza, but to make sure that another October 7th will never happen again. So they've already established a buffer zone between northern Israel and southern Israel and northern Gaza, and they continue to widen it, which they will do until Hamas makes an agreement. No agreement necessary, just disarm, and at least the leadership leave. But there's this new, I think it's called the Morag corridor, and they have already. They are wide. I think it's 3 kilometers wide at some point. So you see, they're making, they're taking measures to guarantee security. And Gaza is not going to be a source of a means of attacking Israel anymore. And the last, and I will predict that that's going to be the situation with Iran too, regardless of what kind of deal that Trump makes. Basically, probably looks at least possibly to sell out the Israelis. But the important thing is, I'll end on this, is just to reiterate what that last quote I gave you said, that Hamas, now that Israel, which they should have done a long time ago and not listened to the international community, and stopped the humanitarian aid a long time ago. Well, they've done that now. They've stopped the humanitarian aid until the Israeli army might start redistributing aid, but in such a way to make sure that Hamas doesn't get it, because if that article is correct, that last quote I gave you, Hamas only has supplies. They can only last another month or 6 weeks. So I don't know what they're dawdling over. And I'll give you one last sign that they're of how much they're weakening. That example is that, again, it was either today or the day before you're seeing this, or yesterday, 2 days before you're seeing this, the Hamas released another video of one of the living hostages reading a prepared message that Hamas makes them read. The point is that it was only a few days before that they had another hostage video and another one. Obviously, what they're doing, they're starting to show these hostage videos to prompt, inspire, whatever you want to say, the left-wing hostage families back in Israel, because there was about over 1,000 other hostage families or families of soldiers who've been killed in Israel. In fighting in Gaza, demanding that Israel finish the job and pursue victory. So these are all people on the left. I assume we'll just say the vast majority, though personally I think it's all on the left, and they're really anti-Netanyahu demonstrations, but they're having these weekly demonstrations and demanding that Netanyahu just get out of, basically surrender to Hamas, leave Gaza, and then make a deal to return the hostages, which would never happen even in that situation, because that's the leverage that that Hamas has. I mean, they give back all the hostages, and then Israel can just turn around and just... In fact, they're already talking about it. I keep remembering all these things. Another news event that Israel is already talking... You know, they released hundreds, if not thousands, of hostages so far, of Palestinian prisoners, some with, murderers, what they call in Israel, with blood on their hands, released thousands, and now Israel is talking among themselves. They've been debating, the Israeli government, about going out and rearresting all these people they released, and I predict that they will. They should. I mean, there is no reason to make well, I don't think they promised not to rearrest them. I think it just, it was just an exchange, one for the other, but I don't know why anybody would feel obligated to honor an agreement with a terrorist. So I don't think I don't see any situation otherwise than increasing the pressure to get all the hostages back. So that is the state of play. We'll see how it works out. But it looks like, Godspeed to Israel. It looks like that they're on the verge of a victory, and once that happens, then however long it takes, and Gaza can be, the Trump plan, maybe become the Riviera. Well, I was going to say Riviera on the Mediterranean. I always forget the Riviera is on the Mediterranean. So what I mean, it can become another Riviera on the Mediterranean. Anyways, Gazans will be better off than obviously the situation that obtains there now, whether they return to Gaza or go somewhere else or stay somewhere else. And that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. Your comments always welcome in the comment section below the video. But most of all, come back and see me again. Love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.